And come back soon.
Oh boy, here we are, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's Marv and Monty.
Yeah, hey, that's Marv right over there.
Separated by thousands of miles, and yet so close in so many ways. And thank you for joining us for Distance Learning, a completely different thing where we also put in very little effort in hopes of making you laugh.
Oh, it's what white privilege is all about, Marv.
It for sure is. And tonight, it's a great thing. This is the prototype first episode. We're going to see how it goes. We got 3 educational shorts. You see, we're living in the pandemic era. And I thought, wouldn't it be neat if we took some information from the past and repackaged it and then put it out there for people to enjoy?
Yeah, it's when America was great.
So if you like, in the grand tradition of Mystery Science Theater, Riff Track, Cinematic Titanic,
Master Pancake.
Master Pancake right here in Austin, Texas. We're going to riff on some stuff, and it's going to be fun. And worst case scenario, you're missing the second hour of the Emmys. So who cares?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got to go, Marv.
No, Mont. We're going to need you to stick around, buddy. Just 45-ish minutes, and this whole charade should be over. And if we like this enough, if people dig it, we're going to do another one. But it's just about, I think we're almost time to start with the first one.
Okay, yeah. And the first one is don't get angry, right?
You know, it's something we're all struggling with in this difficult time, not getting angry. Let's see what happens.
Don't tell me what to do. What an all-schuler. The Baba Yaga.
Have you ever been as angry as Susan seems to be right now? Do you remember how quickly it happened? Right in the middle of a game.
The most dangerous
having a
game.
lot of fun. And how you wished, as Paul does, that you could take your anger out on the person who made you angry.
I'll show Disney they can't ruin Star Wars.
Oh, no!
And have you too felt like throwing things or breaking them? As Carol does because she's angry at her sister Susan and at Priscilla.
I'm angry at that wallpaper.
Everyone gets angry now and then.
Even a young Tom
Osborne.
Osborne.
Like destroying or hitting something, as Eddie is doing.
Oh God, he's hitting rock bottom.
Feeling angry is a natural thing, just as natural as feeling glad or sorry. But angry feelings are disagreeable.
Screw you, Bull.
They make you act and look as well as feel unhappy. But let's go back and see what made these boys and girls angry.
Probably their hairdos.
Maybe we can better understand what happens to us when we get angry.
Okay, that's more ennui than anger, right?
Yeah.
It all started in the park. When Susan and her sister Carol and their friend Priscilla were having a good time jumping rope.
You missed! I didn't! I said I didn't! I saw
Next
you
time on The Real Housewives of Utah.
Turn now. Take her in! I will not! You stopped turning and made me miss on purpose. My turn. It isn't Priscilla's.
The argument with Carol made Susan very angry.
She has to speak to
We
the
all have
manager.
arguments once in a while, and it's natural to get angry. And so, when Carol refused to give in, Susan quit the game and went home.
That'll show him.
Susan nestled down on the soft couch and tried to forget her anger. But somehow her feelings of anger didn't go away, and Susan could not read or think of anything she wanted to do.
Okay, with the mix of patterns in that room,
The
who
trouble
could think?
was that
Why
Susan's
can't
anger was
Susan
still
read?
bottled up inside of her.
Ugh, fuck that chocolate.
She felt as though she were bursting with unhappiness. How could she get rid of her anger?
Post on the neighborhood app?
Let's listen to what she has to say to Carol.
Susan, may I borrow your tennis racket? I want to play with Priscilla.
No, you can't use anything of mine. Not ever. I'm so mad at you.
What's the matter with you?
Seems pretty rational to me.
She's angry because she couldn't have her way when we were playing jump rope. She didn't play fair.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Let's talk it over. Susan,
Oh, God.
tell me all about it.
Oh, Mom, it's
Gradually,
the patriarchy.
Susan is getting
from
rid
the
of her
microaggressions, the sexual
Angry
double
feelings
standards,
should be
the
gotten
wage
rid of
gap.
one way or another, but always without hurting someone else. Let's leave Susan and her family now
Just
and
like
see
her
what
dad.
made Paul angry.
Ooh,
and what
ouch.
happened to him.
Yoko and the Wings make
Boy, I
Paul
bet
angry.
this plane will fly for 5 minutes. Better fly longer than Pete.
Huh. Do you think they considered putting a microphone in the same room as the actors?
Don't break it. That's Pete. Boy, wait till Pete gets here. We can take him out and fly him all around.
I guess I'll just go back to lathing my dildo then.
Oh, hi, Pete. Look at the planes. Aren't they wonderful? Come on, let's go.
I'm not going to fly planes today. I'm going to play ball.
But you said we'd fly our planes.
I said I would, but I changed my mind. Besides that, Jack said I could play first base.
And Jack never lets me get to first base.
You're a heck of a guy. First you promise, then you break your promise.
Oh, so what?
That's a dirty trick.
The broken promise and disappointment have made Paul furiously angry,
This guy has a real
like this
young
happen to all
Forrest
of us.
vibe.
and we're pretty likely to get angry.
Paul tries to drown himself in the water
moment,
fountain, but he
Paul
fails at
stopped.
that too.
And thought about going to the gym, where he hears Mr. Jackson working with a punching bag.
Oh God, that's
But
not
then
what
he
he's
decided
doing.
he didn't feel like going to the gym or like watching Mr. Jackson.
Oh, phew.
He went home.
That almost turned into a Sean Cody video.
Oh, it's Old Yeller 2, The Revenge.
Like Susan,
Cujo, come
Paul
back!
wished he could forget his anger. But the more he thought about Pete, the angrier he got.
Go National!
My favorite team.
You can see he didn't feel much like playing baseball. Nothing seemed like fun. The anger was still in him.
Mostly in his butt. That's where I keep mine.
He felt thoroughly upset.
Paul quietly fantasizes about breaking into the homes of families in Wichita to bind, torture, and kill.
So specific.
Perhaps we can understand better how Paul felt if we understand what happens to all of us when we get angry. It's as if suddenly many parts of our body work harder and faster. We feel great excitement. Hearts beat faster, and the blood seems to rush quicker through the body.
Is this a prequel to
Sometimes a lot of
Osmosis
blood rushes
Jones?
to the head. Our face gets flushed. Sometimes blood rushes to the stomach. Anger makes us feel sick all over. Sometimes we clench our fists or bite our nails. Often we feel as though we were like kettles filled with steam.
Short and
The
stout.
angrier we get, the stronger the pressure inside of us. Like the kettles, we must find some way to let the pressure out. When Susan got angry at Carol in the park, she got all stirred up inside. And when Paul got angry at his friend Pete, he too felt as though he were boiling over with anger.
Rage, kids.
But when
Rage.
Susan went home, she didn't let her anger out. And Paul made the same mistake. You can see that Susan and Paul would have felt better if they had found a good way to let the steam off sooner. Because it is important to let out our angry feelings, let's think of some different ways of getting rid of them. One way would have been for Susan to tell Carol right away that she was furious at her.
Compliment each other's
Then
scarves.
she might have gone on turning the rope and waiting for her turn to jump.
That was fun.
Perhaps Susan would have jumped so hard that she could have jumped higher and better than she ever had. And the girls would have admired her for doing so well.
Hulk jump high.
It's like the 50s equivalent of
Or
let your haters
Susan
be your
could have looked for her
motivators.
mother as soon as she came home and told her all about her trouble. Talking difficulties over with friends, parents, homeroom teachers, or the coach are good ways to get rid of anger. If Susan had tried any of these ways, she would have let her anger out, and pleasant feelings would gradually have returned.
Oh, nice.
Susan then would have soon forgotten her troubles and gone on playing. Now, let's see what Paul might have done to get rid of his anger. When he passed by the gym, he might have entered. And then...
Hi, Mr. Jackson.
Hi, Paul. Boy, it sure feels good to get the old muscles loosened up again. But I thought you were going to be flying your model plane this afternoon.
We were, but Pete ditched me.
Well, how'd that happen?
We were just about to fly our planes when Pete decided to play baseball.
Baseball. Here, Paul, you want to hit the bag?
Had Paul started talking to Mr. Jackson as soon as Pete left him, or even decided to punch the bag, his disappointment and anger would have dissolved, and he would have begun to feel better right then.
Fucking Peter. Fucking Mary. Fucking little Jackie Paper.
Perhaps as Paul pounded the bag, he might have thought it was Pete. Every swing was a swing at Pete. Do you think that would have helped Paul get rid of his anger?
I always feel better when I pound my bag.
Anyhow, with his feelings taken out on the punching bag, Paul may have found that he wasn't angry anymore.
Wow, that kid is messed up.
That evening, Pete telephoned Paul to apologize for changing plans without talking first with Paul.
Pussy Willow.
He knew that he'd been wrong. When Paul told him how angry he'd been, Pete asked if he could come right over and work with Paul on their airplanes. So they had a good time together after all. There are other ways, too, of getting rid of anger. For instance, see what Eddie is doing?
Writing his manifesto?
He is getting rid of his anger by drawing a picture of his aunt,
Just like his
who
dog
a few
told him
hours
to.
before had scolded him.
Is that George Washington?
His
Oh no,
mother
it's his
isn't
death
home yet,
note.
so he can't talk to her. But he can make a funny picture of his aunt, and that makes him feel better.
Sexy Princess
He's
Leia.
having so much fun drawing the picture that he forgets all about his anger. Perhaps you, like Carol, can imagine dreaming up a story about animals or people that would help you get the anger out of your
Yeah, it's
system.
totally 20.
Maybe.
All these are good ways to get rid of anger.
But killing is still the best, though.
Well, I don't know if that's such a good idea,
They
Mr.
free
Hand.
us so
I don't
that we can start having fun again.
Oh, no.
You see, the important thing is to let out our
Very
anger in
timely
some
Mr.
active
Bill
way.
reference.
By running, or jumping, or hitting the punching bag. But we must be sure that we don't hurt or make others angry. Because if we remember what happens inside of us when we get angry,
Diarrhea?
we'll be more careful about making others angry. And perhaps, too, when we get angry, we'll think of the best ways to work our anger out of our system.
The best way for me to work anything out of my system
Can you
is Taco
remember
Bell.
some of the good ways that helped Susan and Paul get rid of their anger? What would you have done if you'd been Paul
Wow.
or Susan?
Some nights I'm Great. both. Pretty
I think I
good.
would have pounded my bag, Marv. I think I would have pounded my
I
bag.
built in this big chunk here. It's too long. It's Too the
I should I make it quieter?
end. Nope. Just let it
Just
happen.
keep it. Shout out to Matthew. Matthew's wife, let him go. He's having fun. He's on fire. Good stuff.
I vastly overestimated how much time was required to jump out of the video, huh?
Refreshing.
That's it's a final cut faux pas.
With a bright, right
Yeah,
taste
no, it's
and a
good. It's good. I like it.
sparkle
It's good
all its
times.
own.
It
Regardless,
gave me
Enjoy
a
your
time to
Coke at our
refreshing
snack stand
Coca-Cola.
right now.
a lot of good takeaways for kids who are distance learning right now and the families working with them. It's real easy to get angry, and what you should do instead is draw like a frumpy Princess Leia, I guess.
Yeah. I learned that I should put on some ill-fitting corduroy pants and go punch a bag. By the way, Mr. Jackson is the weirdest teacher I've ever known. Hey, I thought you were going to go fly your plane. We know everything about everyone over here.
A lot of intimate
Hey, my
knowledge.
dog's
Oh,
watching
hey, it's
too,
Mickey's
guys.
Big Chance.
Oh, yeah, we got to
Oh,
go.
fun.
Keep the comments going. Focus. Focus.
If I could focus, I'd probably get more done at work, right? The Foundation for Traffic Safety.
Wow, we're at the title cards and they're already padding this thing.
Not affiliated with the Walt Disney Corporation.
Oh my God, Lassie Jr. Eric Strutt was the name I used when I made those movies in my 20s. Remember those, Marv?
Oh, yeah. Nice work. Mr. Crockett, fairy godparents are real!
So wait, this isn't a cartoon?
Oh, bummer.
Gee, Bill, Pal's not the only one that's going to miss you. I'm going to, too.
And I'll miss you, Mickey. But Uncle Sam has trained me to be a flyer, now he wants to see what I can do.
Aw, you'll do fine.
How hard can bombing civilians be?
When do you think you'll come home on leave?
Sing.
Well, I don't know, but it'll be a long time.
Gee, I'll bet I'll be in high school by the time you get back.
Well, you'd better be.
He's not coming back.
Remember, I haven't put the car away. Come on, let's take a last run around the block.
Hey, that's a great idea. Come on, pal, let's go.
I've seen this video online before. Straight Air Force cadet and his nerdy stepbrother.
Oh, RuPaul Boulevard. They do drag races here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What, this car doesn't have blinkers? Gladunk, gladunk. Okay, Mick, you grab the saw, I'll grab that lady. Let's try some magic.
Gee, Bill, I wish I could drive the way you do.
That dog's like, what is my motivation? What should I be doing?
Determined to learn to drive properly, you will. It's just a matter of time and practice and being fair to everyone else on the road. A fella can get a lot of value and pleasure out of a car if he treats it right and is a sportsman-like driver.
And isn't afraid of a little chafing.
I know I've sure had a lot of fun with this buggy.
Sometimes with other people.
But you know, you've got to take care of a car if you want to get the most out of it. Which reminds me, there were several little jobs I meant to do before I left, but it just wasn't time.
I could do them. I've worked with you before in the car.
Say, that might be a good idea. The more you know about a car, the better you'll be able to take care of it.
So true.
Come on, I'll show you what has to be done. Pull the hood lever there, will you, Mickey?
Okay.
Not that lever. Oh, boing. Boing.
Now, for one thing, the plugs ought to be cleaned and reset. And, see where the insulation is wearing off this wire?
You see here where a motor is supposed to be, but it's just a squirrel running in a wheel? Been meaning to replace that.
The hose connection here needs tightening.
Ever tighten a hose, Mickey?
Yeah, I think I can take care of all those things.
You sure are car crazy, aren't you?
Well, aren't you?
I guess so.
Hey, I've got an idea. While I'm away, if you satisfy me that you've learned all you can about cars and driving, I'll let you drive my car when you get your license.
You mean it? You really mean it?
Of course I do. By the time I come home again, you'll probably be just about ready to drive. I'll check you out the day I get back.
Oh, gee, that's great. But what do you check me out on? What do I have to know?
Well, I'll leave that to you to figure out. And be sure and write me now and let me know how you're coming along.
Write you? Sorry, nerd. I'm all digital.
Say, that must be the folks ready to take me to the station. Come on, Mick, let's go.
Dear Bill,
I've been making out with the dog again. I did this thing with some peanut butter. It was pretty gross.
I've been trying to figure out just what you'd want me to know. Because I'd sure like to earn those keys. Whenever I'm in a car now, I really watch how people drive.
Dad, are you drunk? Do you know where we are? Who's this Ramon we're meeting?
The other day, there was a woman ahead of us, trying to find a number on the opposite side of the street. Dad said when you look off the road, you just naturally kind of drive the way you're looking.
Dames, am I right?
She sure was. She almost got hit.
But Dad said we were in too much of a hurry to do it.
It seems that a driver not only has to watch out for his own car, but he also has to keep his eyes open for everybody else on the road.
Oh my God, watch out, it's Christine!
No, drivers aren't the only ones who cause trouble.
But well-behaved women rarely make history.
A woman tried to cross in the middle of the block, and it's a good thing Dad was on the job and wasn't going too fast.
Wait, is this Dad Lyft or Uber?
Maybe it was that giant hat.
Some people just don't seem to consider the
Giving her
other
away.
fellow. We were at a stop signal, and a car squeezed in on the right side of us and shot across in front of us as soon as the signal changed.
You know, Marv, it's not explicitly said this driver's a woman, but I think I sense a theme here. Ooh, chips. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
The other day I
Classic.
was working on your car. Now I can see why it's important you know these things. Jane came over to see what I was doing. I told her what you said. She wanted to help.
Don't worry, I put her in
Oh,
her place.
I figured she'd be in the way, with all I've got to learn. But she just wouldn't take no for an answer. So I said all right, she could watch me.
This is like the saddest reboot of the Carly Rae Jepsen Call Me Maybe
No,
video I've ever
She
seen.
caught on right away. She wants to drive just as much as I do. It's more fun to work with somebody. And we decided that when we get into high school, we're going to take a course in driver education. After that,
Nice.
I ought to be well on my way toward becoming a good driver.
After driver's ed, Jane suggested some adult education.
Oh, uh-oh.
Incoming! Negatory Ghost Rider, the pattern is
Dear
full.
Mickey,
This is my job in the Air Force.
sounds as though
Writing
you're coming
poems
from a
about
long spot.
planes.
Is he sounding out the words?
I know it's work,
Yeah.
but rules are necessary for everyone's safety. Before I got my wings, I had to learn the rules of flying, just as you're learning the rules of driving. That's why there are flight plans and control patterns for the planes that share the skies.
Did you know jet fuel can't melt steel?
And rules of the road for all ships at sea.
Wait, there are roads in those waters?
Yeah, they're just wet.
And every car driver must realize that a license is a privilege. It just means you have to recognize the rights of others.
Yeah, unless you're a Republican.
The best drivers are those who know the rules and why we have to have them. They think ahead, so they're always ready for emergencies that may develop.
Like when your friend Jane is late and you have to drive her across state lines.
Trust the man with the star.
And even though they have the right of way, they don't insist on it when it could mean danger. It's pretty easy for you to spot good and bad driving habits, Mickey. Especially with the experience you've already had in driving a bicycle.
You can use those pants as an
You know you
emergency
have to
shelter.
watch the road and keep your mind on traffic and signs, signal and road markings at all times. You know you have to stop for pedestrians even though they may make the mistake of crossing at the wrong time against the signal or the wrong place.
If one more dame crosses me.
And you must pop an awesome wheelie.
Some people are in such a hurry that they obey the laws only when they're being watched or think they are.
Finally, a character I can relate to.
James Dean and Jane Mansfield go for an afternoon
They
drive.
forget that traffic laws and policemen protect us all.
Thank God that bald white guy wasn't a black man in a hoodie.
Eeh.
Dear
Dear
Bill,
Penthouse, I never thought this would
mighty
happen
long
to
time
me.
since you left.
I'm a small-town college
I
bro.
like your letters, and I hope I'm learning what you want me to know so I can get those car keys.
It's funny how their relationship now is
As
just
I drive
about
my
cars.
bike along, I watch how people handle their cars. I've seen some good drivers and some bad ones.
A-dab, all drivers are bad.
I'll take a dab.
I saw a real close one the other day.
Look at the caboose on that one.
He's lucky he didn't wind up like the fellow I saw who got clobbered in a crack-up.
Clobbered all the way to the
He
morgue.
really got it for driving too fast for road conditions.
Blood on the highways.
And Jane and I are learning how to prevent such accidents in our driver education class in high school.
Here, Jane learns to criticize her man's
Yesterday we got a chance
choices.
to try the machine for measuring reaction time. It shows how fast you react to different kinds of emergencies and signals. You know, there are some fellows who boast they can stop on a dime. But it just can't be done.
This machine also measures fan reaction time from the moment a woman is cast in Marvel to when she's called ugly on Twitter.
Ooh, that is fast.
We have the 3A textbook called Sportsmanlike Driving,
It's the
and it
most
covers
dangerous
just about
game.
everything a good driver needs to know.
Including
We
roadhead
learned how
etiquette.
the control of the car depends on
Or
the
when it's
the
peak
tires on
Hyundai
the
hunting
road.
season.
These are the 4 friction points, and each one is only about as big as the palm of a man's hand.
Something tells me Mickey knows a lot about that.
You have to have friction or grip to start.
Spy Hunter, I love this game.
Wow, this is a really nicely organized
Stop.
neighborhood.
Or to move in any direction. We also learned it takes only a fraction of a second for an average driver to get his foot on the brake when he has to stop fast. But in that time, his car travels farther than you think. Then the car travels a lot farther before the brakes stop it.
She had plenty of time to
At
move
20
that
miles an
carriage.
hour, the reaction time distance is 22 feet, and the braking distance for good brakes is 30 feet. So
But-
you go 52 feet before you stop.
Okay, so clearly this is
And
not
at
to
60,
scale. It's 20.
You go over 300 feet. Why, that's farther than the length of a football field. That sure puts a lot of responsibility on a driver. We also learned about the danger zone,
If you haven't already had that joke ruined for you by 10 seasons of Archer.
and it's as long as the stopping distance. It's a clear distance you must have for stopping. Anything in that zone would be hit before you could possibly stop. And the faster you go, the longer that danger zone will be.
My danger zone gets bigger when I go fast.
And of course,
Ugh.
you need a bigger margin of safety when you're driving downhill,
Like the economy under a Republican.
or when you're driving in snow, or rain, or slippery roads.
What does that mean?
Because these conditions
Oh, that
make it
is
harder
festive.
to stop. Yes, there's a lot to learn, Bill. But it's fun finding out how to be a really good driver. I think I'm going to surprise you when you get home.
By what? Getting stuck in the washing machine again?
Out on the edge. That's where I burn to be.
Dear Mickey, tell the folks to roll out the carpet because I'm on my way.
And why did they roll up
To
the
be
carpet
home
in the
on
first
leave
place?
Before you know it.
Wait, in the 50s, did the mail get there before the person?
I guess.
Well, Mick, she sure looks swell.
Oh, you mean the car that
Yes,
hasn't
sir,
left the
you really
garage?
took care of her.
Had a lot of fun doing it, too.
Yeah, wait, the car
Hey,
is
Bill,
the
do
dog.
you remember what you said before you went away?
Well, it's been a long time,
But no.
but I remember.
You wrote
First,
several
we'll have to
letters
get you a
about it.
learner's permit. Then we'll see what you can do.
I already have one.
And as you can see, I have my badge. You're under
In
arrest.
a dual-controlled car.
Well, all right. You take the wheel. And I'm not going to say a word. It's all up to you.
That's fine with me.
A young Jesus takes the wheel.
They just leave the dog in the car all the time? Or...
Watch it, Mickey.
Marv?
Don't follow
Yeah?
too closely.
Is that like a young Matt
Remember
Geiger?
your stopping distance.
It does bear a resemblance, I must admit.
You're on right ahead. Now make sure there's nobody too close behind you.
God, they are listening to
Get
a
the
weird
car
radio
right
station.
Proper position. Now make a clear signal, and soon enough. Watch for pedestrians.
You want to make sure you have a full panic attack when you're behind the wheel of a car for the first time.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Oh. It's fine.
There's a stop sign, but take it easy.
Oh,
That
don't
fellow's
freak
coming
out.
too fast.
Don't
You
freak
might have
out.
to stop.
Don't freak out, don't freak out, don't freak out! Oh.
Boy, that sure proves you gotta always look out for the other fellow.
Sure does.
Boy, oh boy, what a workout. 2 hours and I really went through the ringer.
Okay, that does sound pretty gay.
Just got his learner's permit and he's already out cruising for puss.
Did Mickey do something wrong?
You did fine, Mickey.
Oh, boy! I made it! I made it!
Yes, and all you need now is your driver's license. You've learned what it means to be a good driver, and you're ready to go, Mick.
About damn time.
Lassie Jr.
Oh, what are we laughing at? Yes, so strange.
I'm so hungry. That's it for me, kids. Remember, all cops are bad.
The end!
You know, Marv, I wonder how many Zoom
Our
jokes
service
Jimmy
is friendly
Kimmel has
and
made
quick.
on the Emmys right
You'll
now.
find hot
You know?
dogs,
Probably a
hamburgers,
bunch.
pizza, your favorite candy, hot and
I don't know.
cold
I'm watching a live
other
tweet of
delicious snacks.
so.
So add to your fun of watching the movie. Visit our
Good
refreshment
God.
stand right
what,
now.
what a
We're
great
glad to have you
takeaway.
with
I
us
think the
tonight.
big thing there is
That Lassie Jr. is an
Drive.
underrated actor? Because honestly, that's all I could watch. Lassie Jr. nails every scene Lassie Jr.'s in. You know?
Lassie Jr. was the best thing about that entire 10 minutes or 15. Okay, so we got one left, and this is really this was the money shot, I think. This is the good one.
Yeah, this is the thing that brought us to this right now. Tune in, everybody. Ears open. Thanks for watching.
McGraw-Hill sounds like a new age music label.
Gesundheit. Harold Big Deal, MD.
Anita D, don't we all? Anita D. Thanks.
The symptoms are quite familiar, and very likely you'll come up with a correct diagnosis.
Oh, do I get my
Yes,
copay
it
back?
looks like a cold, a common cold.
But the common cold doesn't usually land you on a ventilator.
Achiness, very often a slight fever. Those are some of the symptoms of the common cold. Well, how do we get into that unhappy state?
By just driving north on I-29?
Because of cold? Because of ice, snow, and low temperature? No. Funny thing about colds, where it is coldest, the inhabitants hardly ever get colds. Explorers tell us that Eskimos are cold-free, unless they come in contact with visitors from outside their
Wow,
frozen
this is
world.
problematic on like a bunch of levels.
Then if it is not just cold weather, what is it that causes so many of us to catch cold?
White colonizers?
Scientists think that most colds are caused by extremely small microorganisms.
Ooh, you're gonna reproduce
called
with binary
viruses.
fission, you dirty slut.
Viruses, and there are many different
Oh,
kinds.
just drink some bleach,
can
you'll be
spread
fine.
With each particle of saliva and mucus. When one sneezes or coughs, for instance.
Oh.
But do not think for a moment that cold-producing viruses are spread only by sneezing and coughing.
Mostly it's spread by
If by
boomers
some
clicking on
magic,
links on Facebook.
The tiny particles of saliva and mucus could be made visible as a black smudge.
Ugh.
We quickly
Out,
would realize
damn
in how many
spot.
other ways we are apt to scatter bacteria and viruses all around us. For instance, Jane here has a cold.
You think?
Look at that smudge. Look at those germs.
She's
on the
disgusting.
doorknob.
Jane's
Here's
always
Bob's
doing knob
hand
jobs.
picking them up. Bob, his hand now covered with germs picked up from that doorknob, transfers them to a book. Sue, having the bad habit of wetting her finger to turn pages, carries the germs from the book to her mouth.
She's got that wet ass
and then
finger.
passes them along with a pencil to Anne.
Thanks for your slobber pencil.
Anne carries them home and leaves them on the family's dinner table.
Good one, Anne.
Yes, even during an ordinary conversation, Saliva
back
and
off,
mucus
Harvey
particles
Weinstein.
escape our mouth and easily reach others.
Oh
who
wow, what are
inhale
the
them
odds
as they
they'd both
breathe.
be soul eaters?
Just remember how breath becomes visible on a cold day. How then, with so many germs surrounding us, can we avoid having colds all the time?
A MAGA hat?
Well, fortunately, our body has defenses against this enemy.
Machine guns
Normally,
mounted
we
here
breathe
in
through
the
our
upper
nose.
sinus.
The nose, as well as the sinuses, the eustachian tubes, and the throat are lined with a delicate membrane. If, under a microscope, you look at the lining of the nose, we call it the nasal membrane, you can see that it is covered with tiny moving threads. These are called cilia. They move back and forth like stalks of grain when a wind blows over a field.
Picture it, Rose. Cilia,
The cilia are
1935.
covered with a warm, moist,
It's a good
sticky
joke.
substance
It's like a
called
gym
mucus.
sock?
Warm, wet,
The
and
nose
sticky. You
usually
have my
secretes
attention.
About a quart of this liquid every 24 hours.
A quart?
This
Ugh.
mucus, by warming and moistening the air we breathe in, prepares it for our lungs. The mucus also catches and destroys microorganisms, that is, bacteria and viruses. The movement of the cilia carries the mucus down to the pharynx.
Thank you.
Then it
I
is
thought that was in
coughed out
Egypt.
or swallowed into the stomach, where any remaining microorganisms are destroyed by the digestive juices.
Ain't my fault that I'm
If
out
these
here
defenses
getting
are
loose.
weakened,
Got a
the cold virus
digestive
will gain a
juice. Got a
foothold and
digestive
cause the
juice,
inflammations
baby.
which so often are associated with the common cold. The common cold is not a serious sickness, but still, medical science as yet has not found a cure for it.
So there's that.
Ah, yes, there are remedies galore.
That's some good
All sorts of
mentholatum.
medications which soothe pain and headaches and so bring some relief. However, they do not cure colds.
No.
And no matter how convincingly they may be advertised, do not use them without having checked with your doctor. But there is a sound prescription. If you have a cold, don't stay in school, because if you do, you may send others home with your cold.
Oh, it's Thanos.
I guess it was inevitable.
Okay, the woman behind him is like 55.
If you have a cold, stay home. Stay in bed.
You have my
This
attention.
is the prescription which common sense and medical science recommend.
Wearing a damn mask.
But only those your doctor prescribes. No others. Warmth, rest, which you can get best when you stay in bed. And while you're there, you might as well make the best of it.
It's a favorite book. Okay. Suddenly he sits up and tugs my panties off and throws them to the floor. Pulling off his boxer briefs, his erection springs free. Holy cow! He kneels up and pulls a condom onto his considerable
Use
length.
tissues instead of handkerchiefs.
You knew a lot of that.
That way you'll dispose of the germs much better than when you blow them into a handkerchief.
Sure, that's not.
However, should you not feel better in a couple of days, or if you keep on having a fever, you should ask your parents to call a doctor.
Dr.
You see,
Detroit.
What you think is a simple
Dr.
cold
Feelgood?
could really be the first symptoms of some other disease, such as
Measles. Infantile paralysis. Diphtheria. Whooping cough. Scarlet fever. Influenza. Puddle of mud. Rammstein. And more at Lollapalooza 99.
However, even if your illness proves to be only a simple cold, it is still important that you take care of it. A cold which is not treated might very well back up along the mucous membrane and so invade the sinuses, the cavities in the bones of the face and the skull.
And from there, it's
Or
brain
the
cancer.
infection may reach the middle ears when it invades the eustachian tubes, which connect the middle ears with the throat. Frequently, the inflammation also travels down the respiratory tract to the pharynx, the larynx,
Are those in Egypt?
and the trachea. Your throat feels sore, and your voice is husky.
These
It
pants are
travels to
husky.
the bronchi.
Go
You
Denver.
have a bad cough. And occasionally even to the lungs. And that is pneumonia. These are painful complications, and they often take a long time to clear up. The best defense against the common cold and all these other diseases is to keep up the body's natural resistance. To do so, you must eat regularly and well-balanced meals. That is, meat, vegetables, fruit, milk, and so on.
At least 5 salads a
Get lots of
day.
exercise and fresh air, but do not exhaust yourself.
Never exhaust yourself.
In cold
That's my
weather,
motto.
You must wear sensible clothing to provide proper warmth to remain healthy.
Well, Billy here's about to bomb Korea.
Go to bed at a reasonable hour. While you grow, you need about 10 hours of sleep each night.
10 hours?
10 hours?
Sleep recharges
I haven't
the
gotten that
body's
much this
energy.
week.
Protect yourself against infection. Keep pencils and other things out of your mouth.
Marv.
Never
Guilty.
take bites of other people's food.
Monty.
Do not use somebody else's drinking straw or glass, not even within your own family. In the bathroom, for instance, use only your glass.
So wait, we
And
should all
wash
have our
your
own brush.
hands frequently and
Don't stick a
thoroughly.
toothbrush up your butt
Especially before
unless
eating.
you want to.
When you wash your hands, you wash away many of the disease-carrying smudges you may have picked up.
Not all, but enough.
But if in spite of all these precautions, you still come down with a cold, let us repeat, take it to bed
Take it to bed.
until it has run its course. This is the safest way to regain your health and to return as quickly as possible to work, to fun,
Oh, fun.
and to play.
Hey, there's Peter at first base.
Oh, he finally made it. That's great.
San Jose State, or as we like to call it, Second Try U.
Anita D, don't we all?
Yeah. Wow.
That's pretty good. Pretty good stuff there.
Hey, I want to thank everybody who was watching tonight. Matthew and Lauren, Tim, and Rob, and Terry, and all these great people, especially the folks who left us comments. It's really going to help fool the algorithm.
Yes.
So thanks a lot.
Yes. And if you dug this, we're probably going to put it up on YouTube, probably. And
It's probably already there.
Probably already there, actually. I guess it just stays there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
It just stays
if
there.
people like this, we're going to do more of them. We're kind of working on the second one already. So it seems inevitable.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Seems like that's what's going to happen. Thanks, Marv, for all your hard work doing a lot of the heavy lifting in a lot of this. So thank you so much
Monty,
for that.
You did all the production of the live event, the live streaming event.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming, everyone. I hope everyone learned a little something.
Yeah.
And realized how expensive clearance rights are for other types of entertainment. And that's why we did this.
I learned that when I'm driving, I should not be angry. I should wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I should also check to make sure all my hoses are tightened.
These are practical things that apply to our current daily life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't sneeze on people. Hello. When you're driving, don't hit people in other cars. That's always a good idea.
Absolutely.
Are you angry? That's unhealthy. Don't ever do that. Always be happy.
And when
take whatever medication is required to keep you that way.
And
all
when
the time.
jumping rope, go out when it's your turn to go out.
You know, they've got a whole
little
bunch of pharmaceuticals now that boost your existing meds. They're like Brubelva or something. I saw an ad for it. It's like
Brubelva.
just take this
That's the little cheese with the wax on it, right? I love Brubelva. That's great.
I think that might be Brubelva too. But it turns out it also really enhances your Prozac.
Good to know. See, we all learned something. Keep looking at both of our Facebooks and the Weisenheimers Facebooks. And by the way, I should also say thank you to the Weisenheimers for allowing us to use this platform to do this show. So thank you so much
really
to Colin and Teresa and for just giving in.
Yeah,
thank you.
Just letting us use. I wanted to use the juice. If I did this on just my personal stuff, nobody would have watched it. So
it's
very, very low attended. Anyway, cool. Well, thanks, and we'll see you all next time. I hope. And also, I hope there'll be a next time, and I hope there's a future. I don't know. If you've been watching the news lately, you're like me, you're not so certain that's the case anymore. And you're just looking forward to, like, every day the sun comes up, we're like, okay, we'll do it one more time. We'll see what happens.
Always end on a positive note. Thanks so much for joining us. He is Marv.
And that's Monty over there.
Right. And be kind to each other, everybody.
Word.
Yeah.
Word up.